24 people who unexpectedly received a large sum of money are revealing how it changed their lives. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Reddit user Willow Mist asked the community, people who won, inherited, earned a large amount of money in a short amount of time, what was the biggest change? Here are the changes people experienced when they came into large sums of money unexpectedly. 1. You know how you can list things, highest price to lowest while online shopping or browsing real estate listings. I thought that was hilarious and that nobody would ever use it. It turns out that it's useful when money is no object, and you prefer not to look at the lower-end options. Less a fan. 2. Fixing things is no longer about the cheapest way to do it yourself, but about weighing a good DIY solution versus just writing a check and being done with it. Say a tree needs to be cut down. Without money, you think about what you can use or borrow. Renting is a last resort, but viable. With money, you may decide owning a chainsaw could be useful, so perhaps you buy one. Beyond that, I ask myself, do I really want to do this thing myself, or should I just find someone to do it for $500? As a specific answer, I now pay someone to cut my grass. 3. I stopped caring about keeping my job since I now have a safety net from stocks. I can now push back on unreasonable requests, and I'm a lot more confident about asking for raises because I know I can comfortably quit anytime. Antarian. 4. I started eating better. No more buying the cheapest version of everything. I also bought a very nice bed. Hands the Fram. 5. I made a mistake and told my former closest friends. They are turned on me out of jealousy, I'm assuming. It sucks. So, I'm more humble with my money when building friendships. The luckiest mind. 6. I don't even have to think about taking my pets to the vet. I used to put it off, hoping they would get well by themselves if we just waited it out. Now it's, hey buddy, you're acting a bit sick. Let's get you checked out. Need medicine? No problem, and no splitting dosages either. Tioga Joe. 7. I inherited $200,000 when my grandmother passed a few years ago. It was enough to get me out of the poverty cycle but not enough to buy a house or live off of for a substantial amount of time. I set aside most of it but gave myself the luxury of a decent chunk of spending money. You may think I bought a bunch of silly things with that money, and I did. But I mostly used it to get good quality things that will make life easier and last a while. I got a chest freezer, a nice dresser and side tables, a decent fridge, and clothes that fit me and look good. I also had the privilege of helping my community so much. Being able to drop a couple hundred to buy a friend's hearing aids or get someone's not cheap prescription is amazing. I've been fortunate. My community hasn't taken advantage of it. They're aware I will always help, but they use it as a last resort safety net. I have half of it left 3 years later. Without the constant stress of affording everything. I figured out what I wanted to do with my life, and now that money will support me as I study for the next few years. Throw money away 666. 8. Ironically, it made me want to save more. For the first time in my life, I had savings, and I wanted to grow it and start thinking about retirement. Legendary_Lamb 2020. Stress levels before and after, it's like night and day. Being poor is stressful. Very stressful. Having money means having options, which coincidentally means less worrying about making things work. And more focus on figuring them out, leading to more success. You simultaneously have more options while ending up needing a plan B less. It's almost cruel. Money doesn't bring happiness, but it kills 90% of real-life day-to-day stress, paving the way for positive change. Redditing at work 23. 10. I took all the money and immediately paid off a large chunk of my mortgage. The only change is that I can pay off my house before I die. 11. People turn up out of the woodwork when they hear you have a lot of money. When I signed a massive deal at the company I owed, and I assume my mom told a bunch of people. Suddenly, friends and family I hadn't heard from in years wanted to spend time together. Same when my mom passed away. In both cases, I wanted to think it was for altruistic reasons. But the timing was just too convenient. The interaction between my existing friend group, who also knew about these events, did not change. Dave LLD. 12. Our plans for the next 10 plus years accelerated and happened within 2. We bought a lovely house and are now getting married at the end of this year. We still have a decent amount left over, which we are saving for if we need it and to get a dog after our wedding. UACID Trippin' Panda. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. 13. We inherited a substantial amount of money recently. We knew an inheritance was coming, but it was easily 3 times what we thought it would be. My day-to-day life didn't change. I still work the same job, and so does my husband. Everything is the same except for the relief we have when thinking about the future, which is huge. We took half the money and put it in an account for our kids. Their college, grad school, etc., are completely paid for. We then took the other half and hired an advisor. We know well to invest it for our retirement. We plan to park it until we both stop working, which is still decades away. We also cut big checks to our beloved niece, for school in the future, and 2 charities close to our hearts. The thought that our future is secure is breathtakingly amazing. Groundbreaking age 254. 14. I won $40,000 on a scratch ticket, so I quit my job and took a year off. It was not the best financial decision, but it was great for my sanity. Perpeta meter _me _clown _pix 3. 15. I inherited about $500,000 from my dad, plus some real estate. After I bought a house and a car, I was still left with quite a bit, but I was in a terrible place. My dad's death was very sudden and affected me very badly, so I was wasting money left and right on vacations, random stuff, and fancy dinners. Most of it wasn't leftover, so my life was more or less the same. The only difference was that my family now owned a house and had a couple of nice cars. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Source: Dinar Recaps.